Today, former President Donald Trump will be deposed in the defamation case brought by writer E. Jean Carroll.
It is part of a growing number of civil and criminal cases the former president is facing. CBS News investigative reporter Graham Cates is here with us in Studio 57 to break down these cases and talk about where they stand. Good to see you.
We need special effects for this.
Yeah, I know.
Because
there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, exactly.
So quite a number of lawsuits facing the former president. Many of them right here in New York City. Walk us through them.
Yes, so many are coming to a head right now in New York, and it's not a coincidence. Just because a lot of them were delayed and put on ice while he was president, and so they got rolling after he was done being president. And now, right now, like in the next 2 weeks, a lot of them are really crucial moments in these very serious matters. So we'll start with one you mentioned, Anne-Marie, E. Jean Carroll. Last week in the Southern District of New York, which is here on Pearl Street, a judge said Trump has to sit for a deposition today in this matter. Now, E. Jean Carroll accused him of defamation for saying that she was lying when she accused him of sexual assault. And they've said in their case, and the judges acknowledged, that today's deposition is going to be used potentially in another lawsuit she's filing next month that she's only able to file because of a new New York law allowing essentially for the statutes of limitations to be suspended for a year on those matters. So sticking with the civil case theme, if you go just a block down to Center Street here at the state Supreme Court for civil cases, that's where for 3 years or so now, a judge has been overseeing the investigation run by the New York Attorney General's office into this what's alleged as a widespread fraud scheme run by the Trump Organization, and the executives and the ones who were named in the lawsuit filed last month are Donald Trump, Eric Trump, Donald Trump Jr., Ivanka Trump. And that investigation is really looking to kneecap the company, right? They want them to stop their operations in New York, and they're trying to collect $250 million. And the next hearing, that's October 31st. Pay attention to that date because it's going to come up a lot. And then if you take the for the D, or if you have a lot of time, the B, uptown, all the way to the Bronx over here. And on October 31st, hopefully you're going away from the crowds of Yankee fans going to the World Series. And you go here to the Bronx County Supreme Court. There's a trial that's scheduled to begin there, and that dates back 7 years to the very beginning of Trump's campaign when a group of protesters were roughed up, it's on video, outside of Trump Tower by Trump Tower security. And this case has been going on. It was slowly moving even during the presidency, and the trial is scheduled to begin. It has been delayed before, but it's scheduled to begin on the 31st. They're seeking damages from the company and from Trump. And along the way, it's had these really crucial things that have actually popped up in the other cases, depositions of Donald Trump, other executives, and Michael Cohen talking about that day. And you learned a lot about the early stages of the campaign and kind of Trump's mindset in that.
It's funny that you said walk us through, because you could literally walk to those 3 court buildings almost. You're going to get your steps in.
Sometimes for reporting, I mean, I really do. I go between all of these ones, including down there. Yeah.
So, the case against the Trump Organization, that's a civil case, but there's also criminal charges for the Trump Organization, and also the committee that organized the inauguration, which, man, that goes back, obviously since the beginning of his presidency.
Yeah, that's right. So there's so much going on. So we'll start with the Trump Organization trial. So that's a block north here of the Supreme Court, also on Center Street. And on the 24th, that's Monday, they're going to start jury selection for that. And that trial is expected to last about 3 weeks or so. Alan Weisselberg, the former CFO of the Trump Organization, is expected to be a witness for the prosecution in that because he entered a guilty plea to very similar charges in the case in August. And then if you, let's say, walk 5 blocks down to the Brooklyn Bridge, walk over that famous walking path, it ends right next to the Brooklyn Federal Court building, where Thomas Barak is currently on trial. The government's actually wrapping its case right now. And he's accused of trying to sway U.S. foreign policy toward the interests of the United Arab Emirates over in the Gulf region. And he was the 2016 inauguration chair. He's a longtime friend of Donald Trump. He's a fellow billionaire. And he was an advisor during the campaign to Trump. And a lot of that case, I've been attending the trial, a lot of that case has revolved around text messages from Barack to members of the administration to, and then, of course, to middlemen who were relaying messages to the United Arab Emirates. There's kind of a lot of really interesting stuff happening there. And since we're already at this building, let's just take a little journey to a different floor. So bear with me here. The entrance lobby to that building is named the Raymond Dearie Atrium. Raymond Dearie is the special master for Trump's Mar-a-Lago.
Wow. 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah. So all of the special master proceedings are occurring also in that building. So you can go between the two cases and attend both if you're there.
Wow.
So let's talk about Washington, D.C. Some of the officers and congressional representatives on the Capitol grounds during the January 6th insurrection have also filed lawsuits of their own. What's the latest there?
All right, so there's a lot of cases that have kind of been tied up into one with the same district judge overseeing them. And the arguments so far in those have been about whether former President Trump enjoyed absolute immunity from his actions around that day, with his team arguing because he was president, he really can't be sued for the things he did leading up to that day and on that day. And the judge has ruled that that's not exactly right. And this has actually played out in other cases, too. The judge ruled, if you were doing this for politics, for campaigning, that's not really in your job description. That's not covered by absolute immunity. And Trump has, of course, appealed that ruling. We're waiting to see what happens in the appellate process in that. But that's where that one is. And then also, since we're here anyway, there's also a criminal investigation underway from the Department of Justice into January 6th. We know that there's been dozens of subpoenas related to that. That's also delved into the fundraising apparatus behind Trump. But there hasn't been any criminal charges or anything along those lines. We just know that's happening.
So we didn't even talk about the Mar-a-Lago stuff, really.
I know.
But that's a lot.
A lot going on.
Graham,
All right now.
thanks for keeping it organized for us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.